And a very happy Wednesday to you at 12:07 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. And a very special welcome to you John Cobelt listeners out there. Thanks so much for tuning in. Mr. Randy Wang's in New Mexico.
John, it doesn't get more Oakland than this. Oakland Mayor Barbara Lee's city-issued SUV was stolen.
Quite frankly.
Well, that is just too bad. However, I do have this to say to the good mayor of Oakland, Barbara Lee. If you were smart enough to understand the statistics, you would know that crime is actually going down. So stop spreading misinformation by telling people that your car got stolen and understand that what the city is doing is working, especially the violence prevention. Go ahead, sir.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
Poor Babs. Didn't Jerry Brown have his car get stolen when he was the mayor of Oakland, too?
Maybe it's just a rite of passage. If you're the mayor of Oakland, at some point you will also become the victim of a crime.
No, you know what happened to him? Now I remember. He was on an international trip, and he was being followed by reporters, and he and his wife, Ann, were coming back from the international trip, and they pulled up to his house, and his car was sitting on 4 cinder blocks. Are you in front of a computer where you can Google that story right now?
Yes, I can try. Let's see. Jerry Brown cinder blocks. Let's see what comes up. No, that's so the first thing that AI wants to tell me is what cinder blocks look like. No. I'm going to need to do more research than 10 seconds, but I'm sure somebody can email us that story.
Okay, if you find the story and email it to us, we'll read it on the air. All right. Now, the race for governor is heating up here in the state of California, and one of the candidates for governor is involved in drama with, well, Randy, one of our favorites.
So Eric Swallwell has beef with Pamela Price.
She called me a crime boss.
Because Eric Swallwell, notably, supported the recall of Pamela Price.
Bipping his back?
Eric Swallwell used to work in the Alameda County District Attorney's Office, and Pamela Price tried to make all kinds of insane allegations about his time in that office in response to the fact that Eric Swallwell supported the recall.
I've been bipped several times.
So here's where it gets interesting. Eric Swallwell yesterday, and this video we got thanks to our friend Seneca Scott, was at the Alameda County Democratic Party Central Committee meeting, trying to, I guess, get their endorsement and take questions from the Central Committee members. Well, one of the members of that committee is Pamela Price.
Quite frankly.
In fact, Johnny, do you remember when that meeting was adjourning after Pamela Price got recalled and she wanted to adjourn the meeting in honor of the memory of her job that she just lost?
Oh, yeah. It was like at the Oscars, the in memoriam segment.
Here's a little refresher.
I would like to adjourn in honor and memory of my grandfather, Yosef K. Tregub. Are there any other adjournments in memory? Thank you.
I would like to acknowledge the legacy of the first African-American district attorney of Alameda County.
Okay.
So breathless, too.
So this was Pammy's moment as a member of that Central Committee in front of Eric Swallwell on Zoom to get even. And it was awkward.
She won't prosecute cases.
Again, thanks to our friend Seneca Scott for this video. You can see this video on his YouTube channel, Gotham Oakland, where he has decided that Pamela Price's part of this should be played by a Muppet.
I'd go for that.
We have a lot of candidates.
Happy to take any questions.
Yeah, so we have time for one question with a 45-second answer. I see a hand from Member Price. Vice Chair Knowles is ready with the mic.
Thank you. In 2024, good morning, Congressman. Afternoon.
Good evening.
Good.
What time was it?
It sounds like neither one of them know.
In 2024, good morning, Congressman. Afternoon.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good night.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening. In 2024, this committee voted 83% against the recall of myself as district attorney in August of 2024 and again in August of 2023 and again in 2024. You went against the vote of this committee as a Democrat. You have a consistent pattern of going against the endorsement of this.
Oh, this poor guy who's trying to keep the meeting on track is not equipped to deal with Pammy.
Oh, he's the same guy that was still trying to figure out why she would try to adjourn a meeting in memory of herself.
To going against the endorsement of this committee. How do you justify coming to us and asking us to support you when you have consistently refused to stand in solidarity with this committee?
What was the percentage that the county voted to recall you?
Before you spoke as a Democrat, this committee had taken a strong position against the recall. What was the percentage of that? That was 83%.
Yeah, the county voted to recall you at 64%. And I think I was with the county on that one. Thank you.
I think you led the recall effort as part of the Republican
I was successful.
Member Price, so that's been asked and answered. Thank you.
So that happened.
What a voice on that gentleman leading the meeting. Now let's all have a moment of silence for his dead grandpa.
But there you go. Pamela Price at the Central Committee meeting trying to hold Swallwell's feet to the fire for the fact that he supported her recall and he was ready.
Now, speaking of Eric Swallwell, according to a new poll, he's coming in second in the race to succeed Gavin Newsom as California governor, right behind Republican Steve Hilton and tied with fellow Republican and Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco.
For the latest poll from Emerson College, here's a report from KTLA, although it's the exact same report on Fox 40 and the same report on Cron 4. So let's go with any of them.
This morning, a new exclusive poll from Inside California Politics and Emerson College shows Republican Steve Hilton and Democrat Eric Swallwell have gained momentum in the crowded 2026 race for governor. Still close. KTLA's Eitan Wallace braving the cold in Sacramento this morning with a look at the results. Eitan, good morning.
Hey, Frank, good morning to you and everybody in Southern California. And indeed, yeah, this poll shows that
this poor guy, he had to stand out there and it's freezing. You see the breath on him, and he has to do this hit, setting up this piece for KTLA, Cron 4, and Fox 40 all at the same time. So he had to stand out there for a while.
Why can't you just let him do it indoors? It's not as if it's a developing story outdoors.
It's one of the things I do not understand about the television news business, why you send somebody out in front of a building that has nothing to do with the story.
Oh, if they told me to do that, I'd be on the phone with the union, lickety split.
Hey, Frank, good morning to you and everybody in Southern California. And indeed, yeah, this poll shows that this race is close. And it also shows with just over 3 months until the June 2nd primary, well, a whole lot of Californians say they are still undecided. It's the big question California voters will answer this year. Who should become California's next governor when Gavin Newsom is termed out? In this exclusive Inside California Politics and Emerson College poll surveying 1,000 registered California voters, Republican former Fox News.
By the way, they got 1,000 people to say yes to this survey. I'm going to guess they got about 10 million people that said, stop texting me.
Well, what do you think the average Californian told them?
Well, let's check in with, of course, the average California voter who is representative of this entire political class.
No, I don't know enough to give you any good information, but good luck finding someone who does.
I love that drop.
Republican former Fox News host Steve Hilton leads with just over 17%. Bay Area Democratic Congressmember Eric Swallwell is in second with a little over 14%, followed by Riverside County Sheriff Republican Chad Bianco, about half a point behind. Democratic former Orange County Congressmember Katie Porter is in fourth, and rounding out the top five.
She's in single digits now.
But still within the margin of error of Eric Swallwell.
Rounding out the top five, billionaire businessman and climate activist Tom Steyer.
Bring it on.
He's seen the biggest gains since December after pouring more than $27 million of his own money into the race.
What do you think that is per percentage point?
That guy is spending a fortune, an El Chapo-sized pile of cash.
He's really effectively doubled his vote share.
Matt Taglia helped conduct the poll. He says with more than 100 days left to go until the June 2nd primary, the race is far from over.
Absolutely not a given.
Especially because the poll found more than 21% of respondents say they are undecided.
Yeah, they looked at this entire field and say, yeah, I don't know.
Well, usually there's someone of notoriety who's running. A movie star, a former governor, you get the idea. This time around, it's a bunch of mere mortals and Katie Porter.
This is the first time Matt Mahan's been included in any of these polls, and at least in this poll, he's only starting at about 3.5%. But people still don't know who Matt Mahan is.
Yeah, it's hard to judge him quite yet because he just got in. He's not a statewide elected official. He's just a local elected official in San Jose. And he hasn't really spent any money yet. Wait till he starts spending money.
This thing is really wide open.
Political analyst Matt Klink says, as for the Democrats in the race, Swalwell has seen momentum and gains, while it's been a tougher ride for Porter. He believes she'll need...
Gee, I wonder why. What could have happened to Katie Porter to derail her campaign?
Get out of my shop.
Well, those shocks on that minivan have to be shot.
Get out of my shot.
He believes she'll need to work aggressively to win over the uncommitted.
I don't know. Wasn't the problem that she was working too aggressively?
Well, maybe she's going to have to take more Southwest Airlines flights and bust her way into the cockpit and demanding everyone's votes.
Right now, her likability factor is not very high.
I wonder why. Could it be that interview with Julie Watts?
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you, and I don't want this all on camera.
Boy, that's a real shocker. Maybe that's why she's chopping vegetables.
And that's a...
She does like to do that.
Sorry for the noise. I'm cutting carrots.
And that's a big problem for her that she's certainly not fixed yet.
Among those not in the top five?
Yeah. Well, guess what? Don't plan on her getting fixed anytime soon. She's real broken.
Paul!
Newcomer candidate, Democratic San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan.
Maybe he's just because he got in late, but the enthusiasm for his candidacy is not translating right now into votes.
All of it in a state where the top two in the June 2nd primary will advance to the November general election.
A lot of this money that's going to be spent, and your guest John Fleischman pointed this out yesterday, this is all going to get spent in June, not in November. And really, because of early voting, this money is going to start getting spent in March and April.
Oh, yeah. And the two big unions, to my memory, and correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, the SEIU and the California Teachers Association haven't picked a horse yet.
Oh, boy.
Do you think there is a real scenario here where we end up with a Republican versus Republican in the top two?
It is mathematically possible that you could have two Republicans finish 1-2 in the primary. That being said, I think that the political brains in the Democratic Party will get involved and say, we need to make sure we get one of our candidates into the runoff, because whomever that candidate is, he or she will likely win the general election. So
just to piss off Price, I want them to elevate Swalwell now.
Well, you would have one enemy in Alameda County if that happened.
It could happen, but just because it could doesn't mean it will.
And this survey also went beyond just the governor's race. It included results about Governor Gavin Newsom's approval rating and even...
He's underwater.
Who is happy with his performance at this point in time?
People that like the tweets?
Maybe people who don't live here?
About Governor Gavin Newsom's approval rating and even how many Californians have considered leaving California over, you guessed it, affordability. All that and more on our website, ktla.com. We're live here at the state capitol. Eitan Wallace, KTLA 5 News.
Or Quran 4 or Fox 40. They're all the same company.
All right, so that's the latest on the race to see who will be California's next governor. But coming up next, and I just want you to know, I've read this about 5 times to make sure I was reading this correctly, and I am reading this correctly. Katie Porter went to the Tijuana River.
Yes, there's a little bit of a sewage spill crisis. It's real toxic down there. She said it smelled awful.
Well, that's a good place for her.
Kick at her when she's down, Johnny.
All right. Katie Porter and the Donkey Show coming up next. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, we're on the air in the Central Valley on the weekends.
How great is this? We do a packaged version of the Fix California Hour that airs at night on KABC in Southern California, early in the morning on KSFO in the Bay Area. And we have a special version that airs once a week, Saturdays at noon on KMJ in Fresno in the Central Valley. So if you're ever driving through there, you can give it a listen on AM 580 or 105.9 FM. You can also stream it at kmjnow.com or get the KMJ Now app. The Fix California Hour, Saturdays at noon on KMJ.
All right, everyone, put on your ponchos because Katie Porter is going to TJ. That story up next right here on The John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. The Fix California Hour coming up after the news at 1. But first, if this isn't a reality show in the making, I don't know what is. Katie Porter goes to Tijuana.
She goes to the Tijuana River in southern San Diego that's heavily polluted because the locals are complaining of headaches. It's not as dirty as you think it is. I mean, the water is, but the story isn't.
Well, what are you implying?
I am implying that there is a toxic disaster at the Tijuana River.
You know, people think that the Caesar salad is an Italian invention because frequently you'll go to an Italian restaurant and they will offer a Caesar salad. But to all you culinary experts out there, you know that's not true. The Caesar salad was invented in Tijuana, Mexico. We thought it was named after the guy who was in charge of the Roman Empire, but no, it was named after a guy who likes to lay bets on highlight. Now, I wonder if when Katie Porter was down there, she was chopping any vegetables for that salad.
Sorry for the noise. I'm cutting carrots.
I don't think she went on the Tijuana side. I think she stayed on the San Diego side of the border.
Well, if you want to bet on highlight, you have to go on the other side.
For more on Katie Porter's trip to the Tijuana River Valley and the toxic mess down there, here's NBC7 in San Diego. God help us.
So California voters will weigh in on the race for governor in about 3.5 months. And one of the candidates hoping to lead the state was in San Diego today, touring the Tijuana River Valley.
Former Orange County Congresswoman Katie Porter was the first candidate to accept County Supervisor Paloma Aguirre's invitation to tour the heavily polluted river area. NBC7 South Bay reporter Joe Little asked Porter how she would tackle the crisis.
This is the result of Monday's storm. The Tijuana River is flooded over Saturn Boulevard. This is perfect for what you want to show a candidate for governor.
So because of the rain, this is
wearing industrial. Oh, she's wearing an industrial gas mask.
What do you think her expense report looks like in Tijuana? How many questionable purchases do you think are on those documents?
She's just touring the river damage. There's been a lot of polluting in this river. It's a serious story.
No, you have to think ahead, though. I'm telling you, if you have a nose for news, you know that there's going to be some questionable things on those reports. I'm just saying right now, in case anyone from the Fair Political Practices Commission is listening to this program, take a look. That's all I'm saying.
So because of the rain, this is...
Wearing industrial strength masks, County Supervisor Paloma Aguirre gave former Congresswoman Katie Porter a tour of the Tijuana River Valley. Monday's rain flushed hundreds of millions of gallons of toxic raw sewage from Tijuana.
You can smell...
Oh, boy.
Yeah, if I were running for governor, I'd skip that one and I'd go watch him making floats at the Rose Parade or something. I don't know.
You can smell it right here. If we don't fix it, maybe we'll get there.
Is that going to make the board?
You can smell it right here.
I mean, you could barely understand her. She's got a gas mask on.
We know what she said.
You can smell it right here. If we don't...
You want that to make the board?
I do.
Okay. I will save it. But just remember that I'm doing this under duress.
Hey, people are going to have an opportunity to vote on that later in the year.
By December of 2026, nobody's going to remember who Katie Porter is.
Maybe by June.
You can smell it right here. If we don't fix it, maybe we'll get there.
Tuesday's tour began over coffee with locals to discuss the decades-old problem. Porter is the first California gubernatorial candidate to accept Aguirre's invitation to see and smell what many call the worst environmental disaster in North America.
Oh, my.
Right in our own backyard. How about that?
They'll be able to hear and experience firsthand.
And by the way, this is an interesting opportunity for anyone that is running for governor to go down there to criticize the current governor who has completely ignored this problem.
If we have the number one environmental disaster, not just in the country, but in the continent, and our governor doesn't do anything about it, what does that say about him as he tries to brandish his environmentalist credentials?
You can smell it right here.
All right, it's a pretty good drop.
I told you.
They'll be able to hear and experience firsthand how awful and severe and intense this crisis is.
I can't get over how strong the smell is.
There is no substitute to standing here and smelling it and seeing it yourself.
Uh-oh.
She got a real good whiff.
Everything the woman says is a drop.
Standing here and no substitute to standing here and smelling it and seeing it yourself.
You want that too?
She's like a CNBC running ticker of drops.
All right, which part of this do you need?
There is no substitute to standing here and smelling it and seeing it yourself.
That seems pretty good to me.
All right, save that one. Well, we're getting a lot of drops out of this piece that was like a serious look on the toxic disaster in southern San Diego.
There is no substitute to standing here and smelling it and seeing it yourself.
How many emails do you think you're going to get of people requesting that you send that to them?
Quite a few. Quite a few.
If elected governor, will you declare a state of emergency?
Yes, I will declare a state of emergency on day one.
That's good. That's what we need from our next governor.
Over the years, Supervisor Aguirre has repeatedly asked President Joe Biden, President Donald Trump, and Governor Gavin Newsom to declare a state of emergency.
Boy, this is a bipartisan issue where nobody in elected higher office wants to touch this thing with a 10-foot pole.
Well, would you want to go down there and smell it and see it for yourself?
I would not.
There is no substitute to standing here and smelling it and seeing it yourself.
Nothing. despite the fact this sewage is contaminating the ground and the air. It's making people sick and it's wrecking the economy. As a member of Congress, Porter says she voted for measures to fix and expand the broken South Bay International Wastewater Treatment Plant, which treats much of the Tijuana sewage. But that was just a small part of this massive problem.
As governor, declaring a state of emergency helps open the doors.
Is she holding her nose?
It sounds like it. Or maybe she's in one of those hazmat suits too.
As governor, declaring a state of emergency helps open the doors to more federal funding, to more...
Well, okay, that's great. But let's say you actually do become governor. You won't be in office for almost a year. Shouldn't you be calling on the current governor to declare a state of emergency if this is your number one priority issue?
No, because they won't criticize him. They all want his endorsement. They all want his support. And they'll say that the state's in a bad place and they can make it better, but they won't connect the dots to Gavin.
To more leverage to bring about solutions.
We're trying to play catch up, and the next leader of this great state needs to act accordingly.
Like it's worse than I thought it would be.
Poor Katie. She went from being the front runner to mucking it up in the Tijuana River.
Like it's worse than I thought it would be.
In the Tijuana River Valley, Joe Little, NBC 7.
At least 4 other candidates for governor have accepted Supervisor Aguirre's invitation to tour the Tijuana River Valley. They just haven't scheduled their visits yet. California's...
They'll get to it, I'm sure, any day now.
Yeah, after you watch that report, would you go down there?
California's primary election is on June 2nd. The 2 candidates who get the most votes will move on to the general in November.
So say what you want about Katie Porter. She's the only candidate so far to tour the environmental toxic disaster at the Tijuana River.
You can smell it right here.
And the emails are starting to pour in. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
All right, there's a lot of emails here. Most of them we cannot read, but a few of them I'm going to try. This one I have to do, because Kevin writes in and says it's a clean email regarding Katie Porter. You surely are desperate for some email, any email you can read about Katie Porter without causing an FCC violation. Well, here's one for you. Do you know what Katie Porter found in the Tijuana River? She found 5 boats. Okay, this one from Nicholas cannot read, but it is one of the many emails that wants us to replay that caller from Valencia. I've got one that wanted to hear the new drop.
You can smell it right here.
Okay, this one I can read. Smelling it and seeing it for yourself was actually a reference to her decomposing campaign for governor, not the sewage.
There is no substitute to standing here and smelling it and seeing it yourself.
The email from Steven, I can't even read the title. Susan writes in and says, maybe Katie Porter was able to pick up some over-the-counter Xanax while she was down in the Tijuana area. Very calming when she has to weigh in on the smelly toxic waste from the TJ River, or even when she has to chop carrots for dinner.
Sorry for the noise. I'm cutting carrots.
You know, there are some days I'm willing to work for free. Today is one of those days.
Jeff wants a drop combo request. Let's see how this melds together.
There is no substitute to standing here and smelling it and seeing it yourself.
No, peanut.
All right. I'm sure we'll have more on this later on. But right now, Randy, you have an update for us on the bullet train.
You know, there was a moment where I wasn't even going to include that story because I'm like, well, this is not that exciting. She's just going down to the river. But turns out I was onto something. You want to watch the video of Katie Porter in the river, you can go to my Substack, randywangradio.substack.com. All right. There was a bizarre story out of Folsom where the CEO of the high-speed rail, Ian Chowdhury, who was the guy they brought in from Europe to get this project right on track, apparently got arrested for some kind of domestic dispute involving him, his fiance, and his daughter. But now we're finding out that nobody's getting charged, and we don't know what was really going on. For more, here's KCRA3 and Ashley Zavala.
No charges will be filed against the CEO of California's high-speed rail after an alleged domestic violence incident.
Officers arrested Ian Chaudhry earlier this month. Our KCRA3 political director Ashley Zavala was first to report this yesterday. So, Ashley, what is the CEO's attorney saying today?
Well, Lisa, it's been tough to get clarity today on what exactly happened in the situation. Folsom police clarified the victim here was a minor, which is why they say they can't release any more information about this incident.
Well, there are only 3 people involved. So if the victim is the minor, does that mean the fiance slapped the teen?
Well, he got arrested, though.
Everybody
right?
got arrested.
Okay. Well, maybe the daughter pissed him and his old lady off, and they gave her a good kick to the caboose.
Chaudhry's attorney said this case is, quote, a nothing burger and was essentially just an argument between members of Chaudhry's family. As we first reported.
Who called the cops?
Well, maybe the daughter said, hey, Dad, I'm supposed to be able to buy a ticket on that train and was supposed to be able to do it about 8 years ago.
As we first reported, police say they arrested Chaudhry and his fiancée on February 4th at around midnight. The Sacramento District Attorney's Office confirmed no charges will be filed against either one for domestic violence, stating there's not enough evidence of the crime and that officers did not see injuries on either one. The DA's...
Well, then who called the cops?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions we have here.
You notice that Chaudhry is now going on a leave of absence.
And the first thing that Gavin Newsom said was, he doesn't work for me. He works for the High-Speed Rail Authority.
The DA's office said Chaudhry's fiance was also arrested on suspicion of misdemeanor child endangerment. But the office has yet to respond to me when I asked about the child victim and whether the fiancé is facing charges related to that. Officials will not confirm if the child is Ian Chaudhry's. His attorney would not either when I asked.
I don't want to comment on that argument because I think it's private. And I believe that if it doesn't rise to the level of any kind of offense, that the public's not really entitled to have that information.
Mr. Chaudhry is a publicly appointed official living and working on the California taxpayer dime. You don't think there should be some transparency in terms of what exactly happened or occurred?
I do. I mean, when the head of the most expensive project in the state gets arrested, shouldn't we know all the details?
Yeah, especially if you're going to say that it's a big nothing burger, nothing happened here. The guy did get arrested. No charges are being filed. Can we at least get an explanation as to what happened?
I do believe that there's a process that treats everybody equally and fairly, and that there's laws in California that are put in place for this exact scenario. And if there is a protected party, that there's not they have a right to privacy. I mean, not everybody there was a public official,
but he was.
Right. And he was the one that was arrested, and that's why it made news. If he wasn't a public official and this was just some random family, it wouldn't have made the newspaper.
Okay, so we know that Chaudhry was there, the fiance was there, the child was there. Who called 911?
That is a question that I keep asking. It's not clear who exactly called. Chaudhry's attorney is describing that person as a third party. We filed a formal public records request for the 911 recording and dispatch audio from the city of Folsom. They immediately denied our request, claiming it falls under the same exemptions as body camera footage and police dash cam video.
What, you can't release a 911 call from a domestic violence incident? What is going on here? The cover-up is worse than whatever actually happened.
Oh, no, you can. I know this for a fact. Let's just say I know someone named Dawn who does a Freedom of Information request every time their neighbors have the cops show up. Because then you can find out just exactly what the call was and why the cops were there. And I've been told that this person has done that several times.
We replied that we disagree. The California Public Records Act does not make an exemption for 911 and audio recordings. So we're waiting to hear back from them. We'll, of course, keep you updated on that.
I don't know. Something doesn't smell right about this. What do you think, Katie?
You can smell it right here.
Let's go to Stan in Orange. Stan, hello.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Let me take it off the speakerphone here. Yeah, Mr. Phillips, Mr. Wang. Yeah, well, first of all, can you get an audio of Katie Porter cutting cheese, maybe? I grew up in San Diego, and I'm an old guy. In the late 60s, early 70s, I used to ride motorcycles all down the Tijuana River. And that place was a hellhole back then. It was a mess, but Tijuana was a very small town, maybe, 30, 40, 50,000. Now it's bigger than San Diego, and they just dump everything in the Tijuana River, which originates in Mexico, but the last 3 miles is in the United States, and that causes the problem. But getting back to Katie, she's just another Democrat. I mean, people have been jumping up and down about fixing that as long as I've been alive, and nothing happens, and Katie just wants the money so she can spend it someplace else.
Well, she was a member of Congress for several terms, too. If it's that big of an environmental disaster and you regard yourself as an environmentalist, why didn't you do something about it when you had a chance?
She's a Democrat, and it is a mess. I was down there a couple of years ago just out of curiosity, looking around. I mean, it's a mess, and when it rains, it flushes the river out along with all the Tijuana sewage and mess, and it should be fixed. But Mexico has no intent on fixing it, and apparently nobody up here. I honestly don't know what the fix is unless we allocate billions of dollars to process the Tijuana sewage, which maybe, given all the money we waste, maybe we should. But Katie, she's not going to fix anything. She's a Democrat.
Would you eat any fish out of that river?
Oh, no way. I mean, it does smell bad. Nobody's fished in that river for 30 years or so, but it's a mess.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. Can you imagine, Randy, a little sushi?
No, thank you.